The woman entered the cafe limping with crutches, her face marked by tears she tried to hide. It was a Saturday morning, and the place was completely crowded. She stopped in the middle of the room, looking desperately at the occupied tables, her red eyes revealing that this was not an ordinary day. Adrian watched everything from the corner table, where he was having coffee with his 6-year-old daughter, Nina. The little girl was drawing on a napkin while nibbling on a piece of chocolate cake. He noticed that the young woman had only one leg, the other pant leg folded just below the knee. There was something deeply sad in that lost look, a pain that went beyond the physical. The woman approached a table where a couple was talking animatedly. She asked something in a low voice. The man shook his head negatively without even looking properly at her. She tried another table, where 3 friends were laughing loudly. The response was the same, accompanied by looks of discomfort. Adrian saw when she leaned against the wall, taking a deep breath, trying to control the sobs threatening to break out. It was then that Nina tugged on his sleeve. "Daddy, that lady is crying," the little girl whispered, pointing discreetly. "I know, sweetheart. Can she sit with us?" Adrian looked at the empty chair next to them. There was no reason to refuse. He raised his hand and waved to the young woman. She looked around, confused, as if she couldn't believe someone was calling specifically for her. Adrian waved again, this time pointing to the empty chair. The woman approached slowly, her crutches tapping on the cafe's wooden floor. Can I really use this table?" she asked, her voice choked. "Of course. Make yourself comfortable," Adrian replied with a genuine smile. She sat down with difficulty, resting her crutches against the wall. For a few seconds, she remained silent, staring at the empty cup in front of her. Then she covered her face with her hands and began to cry. Nina dropped her pencil and looked at her father, unsure of what to do. Adrian gently placed his hand on the young woman's shoulder. "Hey, it's okay. Take a deep breath." "Sorry," she managed to say between sobs. "I shouldn't. It's just that today is my birthday and—" Before she could finish, Nina stood up from her chair and began to sing Happy Birthday. Her childlike voice echoed through the cafe, sweet and spontaneous. One by one, people stopped talking. The barista paused making coffee. And then, like a wave, everyone in the cafe started singing along. The woman looked around, astonished, as dozens of people sang Happy Birthday to a complete stranger. When they finished, she could no longer hold back her tears, but now they were different. There was something of gratitude mixed with the pain. "Thank you," she said, her voice still trembling. "You have no idea what this means." "What's your name?" Nina asked, already returning to her drawing as if nothing unusual had happened. "Elena. My name is Elena." "I'm Nina, and this is my dad, Adrian." Adrian extended his hand, and Elena gripped it tightly, as if she needed to hold on to something real. "How old are you?" Nina asked with the typical curiosity of children. 24. "Wow, you're old," exclaimed the girl, making Adrian laugh and Elena show a genuine smile for the first time. The barista brought a piece of cake with a lit candle. "On the house," he said, winking. Elena looked at that cake as if it were the most precious thing in the world. She closed her eyes and blew out the candle. When she opened them again, the tears returned. "You know this cafe," she began, her voice faltering. "Exactly 1 year ago, I was here with my family. It was a Saturday morning, like today. My parents, my younger sister, and I. We came here every Saturday." Adrian felt the weight of those words even before she continued. "When we left, we crossed the street. There was an explosion. A gas pipe that the building owner knew was faulty for months. He never fixed it." Elena paused, taking a deep breath. "I lost them all. My parents died instantly. My 8-year-old sister died in the hospital 3 days later. And I lost my leg." Nina stopped drawing. Adrian felt a lump in his throat. "I came back here today because I didn't know where to go. I wanted to feel that they were still close to me in some way." Adrian didn't know what to say. No words seemed enough in the face of such loss. But Nina, with the brutal simplicity of children, simply took her drawing and handed it to Elena. "This is for you. They're happy flowers." Elena looked at the drawing of colorful flowers and smiled through her tears. At that moment, something changed. She was no longer alone at that table. And that cafe, which held her most painful memories, had just gained a new one. If you are enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video, and leave in the comments what you thought and from which city or country you are watching. 3 weeks had passed since that Saturday. Adrian was grading his students' assignments when the phone rang. It was Elena. "Hi, Adrian. Sorry to bother you on a Sunday night." "No problem. Did something happen?" There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Adrian heard her heavy breathing. "I got a notification today. The trial of the building owner has been scheduled. It will be in 2 weeks." Adrian closed his eyes. Since that day at the cafe, Elena had become a part of their Saturday mornings. She always arrived at 9 sharp, sat in the same chair, and the three of them would talk for hours. Nina loved showing her drawings to her. Adrian had discovered that Elena was a graphic designer and had been working from home since the accident. "How are you feeling about this?" he asked. "Terrified. I'm going to have to testify. I'll have to look at that man and relive everything." "You won't be alone. I can go with you if you want." "Really? You would do that?" "Of course." The following Saturday, Elena arrived at the cafe different. She was quieter, her gaze distant. Nina noticed immediately. "Elena, are you sad again?" "A little, sweetie." "Because of that bad man?" Elena looked at Adrian in surprise, who explained, "She heard part of our phone conversation. I tried to explain it simply." "The man who didn't fix the pipe," Nina added seriously. "Daddy said he was very selfish." Elena held Nina's small hand. "Your father is right." Adrian changed the subject, trying to lighten the mood. "Remember I told you about the art exhibition at school? Nina will present one of her projects." Elena's eyes brightened a little. "That's great. What's it about?" "Different families," Nina replied excitedly. "The teacher asked us to draw our families. I drew me, Daddy, and you." Elena froze. Her hands began to tremble. Adrian saw tears forming again. "Nina dear, go ask for another juice at the counter," he said gently. As the little girl walked away, Elena covered her face. "Sorry, I didn't mean to. It's just been so long since someone considered me family." "You are part of our family now." Nina wasn't joking in that drawing. Elena wiped her tears and smiled. That was when Adrian noticed something changing inside him. That brave woman, marked by pain but still capable of smiling, had found a permanent place in his heart. But he said nothing. It wasn't the moment. The days passed quickly until the trial date. Adrian picked Nina up from school early and asked his sister to take care of her. Then, he drove to Elena's apartment. She was at the door, dressed formally, her face pale. The crutches seemed heavier that day. "Ready?" Adrian asked. "No. But let's do it anyway." The courtroom was full. Relatives of other victims filled the seats. Adrian recognized the pain in each of their eyes. They had all lost someone because of one man's greed. When Elena was called to testify, she walked slowly to the front. Adrian saw her hands trembling as she placed her hand on the Bible. The prosecutor asked questions carefully. Elena answered with a firm voice, describing that Saturday morning a year ago. The cafe. The farewell. The explosion. The moment she woke up in the hospital and realized she was alone in the world. Then it was the defense attorney's turn. He stood with a smile that Adrian found repulsive. "Miss Elena, don't you think you might be exaggerating a little? Accidents happen." "It was not an accident," she replied, her voice stronger now. "It was negligence. That man knew about the problem for 6 months. But there's no way to prove that." "There is." Elena interrupted. Her voice echoed through the courtroom. 3 tenants sent him formal notices. "I have the copies. My father was one of them." The lawyer turned pale. The prosecutor immediately stood up. "Your Honor, this evidence was not in the case file." Elena opened her bag and took out a folder. "I found them in my father's office 2 days ago. He kept everything. There are emails, photos of the cracked pipe, everything." The courtroom fell silent. The judge took the folder and began examining the documents. His expression grew increasingly serious. The building owner, a 50-year-old man in an expensive suit, began shifting uncomfortably in his chair. He whispered something angrily to his lawyer. Adrian watched everything from the gallery, his heart racing. Elena had kept that ace up her sleeve. She was prepared. The judge looked at the defendant with disdain. This completely changes the case. I will request a recess to review the new evidence, but I can already say that the charge of involuntary manslaughter could be upgraded to intentional. Elena returned to the seat beside Adrian. She was trembling, but there was something different in her eyes. For the first time since he had met her, there was fire there. Not just pain, but determination. "You were amazing," Adrian whispered. "I did it for them. For my father, my mother, my little sister. They deserve justice." Adrian took her hand and squeezed it. Elena returned the grip and didn't let go until they left the courthouse. Outside, the sun was setting. Elena stopped on the steps and looked at the orange sky. "Thank you for being here," she said. "Always." And Adrian realized that word carried far more weight than he had imagined. 2 months had passed since the trial. The building owner had been sentenced to 15 years in prison. The victory brought some relief to Elena, but Adrian noticed that she still carried a weight on her shoulders. Saturdays at the cafe continued. Nina grew increasingly attached to Elena, and Adrian found himself thinking about her at random moments throughout the day. When he was teaching art to his students. When he was preparing dinner. When he was alone at night. It was on a Thursday afternoon that his phone rang. It was a number he hadn't expected to see on the screen for a long time. "Hello." "Hi, Adrian. It's Isabella." He sat down, surprised. Isabella, Nina's mother. The woman who had filed for divorce 3 years ago and moved to another city to pursue her architecture career. Isabella. What a surprise. "I know it's been a while. How's Nina?" "Growing fast. She's 6 now, making art at school." "I know. I imagine." There was a pause. "Adrian, I need to talk to you. I'm coming back to the city. I got a promotion here and I'll be leading a big project there." Adrian's heart raced. "When?" "Next week. And I was thinking, maybe we could talk. About us. About Nina. I know I messed everything up, but time made me realize a lot of things." Adrian hung up the phone 10 minutes later, completely confused. Isabella wanted to try again. She wanted to be part of Nina's life. And she had left the possibility of rebuilding their marriage in the air. He didn't tell Elena. Not that day, nor the following Saturday. But Nina, with the typical innocence of children, ended up letting it slip. "Elena, my mom is coming back," the little girl announced excitedly while eating pancakes. "Daddy said she wants to see us again." Adrian saw the color drain from Elena's face. She slowly put the fork down on her plate, trying to maintain her composure. "That's great, Nina. You must be happy." "I am. And you know what else?" She said maybe we could be a family again. Like in the movies. Elena looked at Adrian. There was something breaking in her eyes, something he recognized immediately. It was the pain of someone about to lose something important. "Adrian, you didn't tell me," she said quietly. "I was going to. I was just still processing everything." "No need to explain. I understand." Elena quickly grabbed her bag. "You know, I just remembered I have an appointment. Sorry." "Elena, wait." But she was already getting up, grabbing her crutches in a hurry. Adrian saw her stumble slightly on the way out, but she kept walking. She didn't look back. Nina furrowed her brow. Why did Elena leave? Adrian sighed. "It's complicated, sweetheart." In the following days, Elena didn't answer his calls. She didn't reply to messages. On Saturday, she didn't show up at the cafe. Nor the next one. Adrian felt torn. Isabella had arrived in the city and met Nina twice. The little girl was radiant to have her mother back. But every time Adrian looked at the empty chair in the cafe, his chest ached. It was Nina who finally asked, "Daddy, did Elena disappear because Mommy came back?" "Why do you think that?" "Because she got sad when I told her. And now she doesn't come to see us anymore." Adrian hugged his daughter. "You're very smart, you know. You like Elena, don't you?" He stayed silent for a few seconds. Then he nodded. I do. More than you like Mommy. They're different things, Nina. I'll always care about your mother because she gave you to me. But what I feel for Elena is special. Then you need to tell her. It's not that simple. It is. You always say I have to tell the truth. So tell her the truth. That night, after putting Nina to bed, Adrian stared at the ceiling. The girl was right. He was being cowardly. The next day, Isabella came to pick up Nina to spend the Sunday together. When she left, Adrian grabbed his car keys. He drove to Elena's apartment. He rang the bell 3 times before she answered on the intercom. Adrian, this isn't a good time. Elena, please. I need to talk to you. There's nothing to talk about. You have your family now. Isabella is back, Nina is happy. That's how it should be. You don't understand. Can I come up? Silence. Then the door unlocked. Adrian ran up the 3 flights of stairs. When he reached her apartment, Elena was at the door, her eyes red. I didn't get back with Isabella, he said before she could speak. Not yet. But you will. I won't. I never will. Because I don't love her, Elena. Elena shook her head. Adrian, don't do this. Nina needs a complete family. Nina needs people who truly love her. And do you know who she asks for every day? You. She asks where you are, why you don't come to the cafe anymore, if you're mad at her. Tears began to fall down Elena's face. I'm not mad at her. I never would be. Then why did you leave? Because I can't be an obstacle. You have the chance to rebuild your family. Isabella is Nina's mother. I'm just someone broken who appeared in your lives. Adrian stepped forward and held her face with both hands. You're not broken. You're the strongest woman I know. And you didn't appear in our life by chance. You changed everything. Nina loves you. And I. He stopped, took a deep breath. I love you, Elena. She closed her eyes, letting the tears fall. You can't say that. Why not? It's the truth. I fell in love with you. With your courage, your kindness, the way you make Nina smile. The way you make me feel alive again. Elena opened her eyes. And Isabella? Isabella is the past. An important past, but the past. You are the present. And if you let me, I want you to be my future too. Elena held Adrian's wrists, his hands still on her face. I love you too, she finally whispered. Since that day in court, when you held my hand. Maybe even before that. Adrian kissed her. It was a gentle kiss, full of promises and new beginnings. When they pulled apart, Elena was smiling through her tears. But what about Isabella? And Nina? I'll handle everything. I promise. On Monday, Adrian arranged to meet Isabella at a cafe on the other side of town. He didn't want that conversation to happen in the place that was special to him and Elena. Isabella arrived on time, elegant as ever. She smiled when she saw him, but Adrian noticed that the smile no longer affected him like it used to. Thank you for agreeing to talk, she said, sitting down. Isabella, before you say anything, I need to be honest with you. She paused, the coffee cup hovering in her hand. I'm not going to try again. We're not going to be a couple. Her face fell. Because of that woman? The one Nina talks about. Her name is Elena. And yes, I love her. Isabella put the cup on the table forcefully. Adrian, I'm your daughter's mother. We have history. And I will always respect you for that. Nina will always have a mother present in her life, if that's truly what you want now. But a husband? That I can no longer be. You're making a mistake. This woman appeared out of nowhere. She didn't appear out of nowhere. She was breaking into pieces and found refuge at a cafe table. And yes, at that moment, I was broken too. You left me, remember? You chose your career, and I don't blame you for that. But now I've made a choice too. I chose Elena. Isabella was silent for long seconds. Then she sighed. Does Nina know? Not yet. But she will today. And what if she doesn't accept it? She will. Nina loves Elena. She's the one who made me realize I was being an idiot for not fighting for this. Isabella shook her head, but there was a slight acceptance in her eyes. You've always been stubborn. And too honest for your own good. You can keep seeing Nina whenever you want. We'll be present parents, separated, but present. We can make it work. I hope this Elena knows she's gaining a special man. She knows. And I know I'm gaining someone extraordinary. That night, Adrian picked up Nina from Isabella's house. The little girl got into the car excitedly, telling him about her day with her mother. Nina, I need to talk to you about something important. The girl's smile faded. Is it about Elena? It is. I love her, Nina. Very much. And I would like her to officially be part of our family. Nina was quiet for a few seconds. Adrian held his breath. Then she smiled, the purest and happiest smile he had ever seen. Finally. I've known for a long time. Adrian laughed, relieved. You knew. Of course, Daddy. You look at her like the prince looks at the princess in the movies. Clever girl. And Mommy? Was she mad? No, sweetheart. Your mother understood. And she will continue being your mother. She can come see you any time. But now Elena will live with us? If she wants. I'll officially ask her to be my girlfriend first. Nina clapped her hands. Can I help? Actually, I was counting on that. The following Saturday, Adrian and Nina arrived at the cafe early. They spoke with the manager and explained the plan. He agreed with a huge smile. When Elena entered the cafe at 9 o'clock, as she did every Saturday, she found the place empty. Only Adrian and Nina were sitting at their usual table. But it wasn't completely empty. There were flowers everywhere. Red roses on every table. And a banner hanging that read, Elena, you complete our family. She stopped at the entrance, her hand covering her mouth. Nina ran to her holding a drawing. Look what I made. It was a new drawing. Elena, Adrian, and Nina together, holding hands. Below, in childish letters, it read, My happy family. Elena knelt down with difficulty and hugged Nina tightly. Thank you, little one. Adrian approached, his heart beating so fast he felt everyone in the cafe could hear it. Elena, when you came into this cafe months ago, you were looking for a place to sit. But what you really found was a place to belong. He took a deep breath. I don't have a ring yet, but I have something better. I have a heart that's all yours. And a daughter who loves you unconditionally. He took her hand. Will you be my girlfriend? Will you officially be part of this crazy family? Elena looked at him, then at Nina, then at the decorated cafe. Tears ran freely down her face. Yes. 1,000 times yes. The cafe erupted in applause. The staff, some regular customers who had been invited to witness the moment, all clapped and whistled. Adrian kissed her right there, in the middle of the cafe where it all began. Nina hugged their legs. Now we're really a family. Elena looked around, at the place that once represented her greatest pain. And she realized that now it meant something completely different. Rebirth. Hope. Love. 6 months had passed since that magical Saturday at the cafe. Elena had moved into Adrian's apartment 3 months ago, and the household routine had taken on a new dynamic. Nina would run to their room on Saturdays, jump on the bed, and demand pancakes. Elena taught the little girl how to draw on the computer. Adrian cooked while the two laughed in the living room. Isabella visited Nina twice a week. At first, it was strange, but over time, everyone found a balance. Isabella even brought flowers for Elena once, a silent gesture of respect. Thank you for taking such good care of my daughter, she said that day. She's special. You raised an incredible girl, Elena replied. That night, after putting Nina to bed, Adrian and Elena sat on the couch. She rested her head on his shoulder. Sometimes I still can't believe all of this is real, Elena said. There are days I wake up afraid it's just a dream. It's real. We are real. You know, I went to the cemetery yesterday. I talked to my parents and my sister. I told them about you and Nina. Adrian squeezed her hand. And you know what's strange? For the first time since the accident, I didn't feel guilty for being alive. I didn't feel wrong for being happy. It's like they gave me permission to move forward. They always wanted your happiness, Elena. I know that now. 2 weeks later, on a rainy Saturday, the three of them were at the cafe as usual. Nina was drawing, Elena was working on her laptop, Adrian was reading a book. It was an ordinary scene, yet perfect in its simplicity. Then Adrian received a message. It was from the lawyer who had represented the victims in the trial. The compensation has been approved. The amount will be deposited into the accounts of all the family members by Friday. Adrian showed the message to Elena. She read it silently, expressionless. No amount of money will bring them back, she finally said. It won't. But it can help you do something for them. Something that will keep their memory alive. Elena thought for a moment. Then her eyes lit up. I know exactly what to do. 3 months later, on a sunny Saturday morning, the cafe was decorated again. But this time, it was different. There was a small stage, chairs arranged neatly, and dozens of people present. Elena climbed the stage with difficulty, her crutches steady. But there was confidence in every step. Adrian and Nina were in the front row, smiling. Thank you all for coming, Elena began, her voice firm. Today is a very special day. With the help of the compensation from the trial and donations from incredible people, we are inaugurating the Eternal Family Foundation. She pointed to a banner being unveiled. It had photos of her parents and her sister. This foundation will help families who have lost loved ones in accidents caused by negligence. We will provide free legal support, psychological therapy, and financial assistance for those who cannot fight alone. Applause filled the cafe. My parents always believed in helping others. My sister was the most generous child I have ever known. And I spent a long time thinking I would honor them just by surviving. But surviving is not living. She looked directly at Adrian and Nina. These two people have taught me that honoring those we love means continuing to love. It means opening your heart, even when it's broken. It means sitting at a table with strangers and letting them become family. Nina's eyes were watery, holding her father's hand. So today, in this cafe that has seen so much pain and so much love, we inaugurate something I hope will change lives. Because if a shared table can change my life, imagine what a single act of kindness can do for thousands of people. When Elena stepped down from the stage, Adrian hugged her tightly. Your parents would be proud, he whispered. I am too, said Nina, hugging her leg. That night, after the entire celebration, the three returned home exhausted but happy. Nina fell asleep in the car. Adrian carried her inside while Elena followed. When they placed the little girl in bed, they stayed for a few minutes just watching her sleep. Adrian. Yes. Thank you. For what? For saying yes that day. When I asked if I could use that table. Adrian smiled and pulled her into a hug. Thank you for having the courage to ask. They returned to the bedroom. Elena looked out the window at the illuminated city outside. A year ago, she had lost everything. Today, she had a new family, a purpose, and a life ahead of her. And it all began with a simple question: may I use this table? Sometimes, the greatest transformations are born from the smallest gestures. A vacant seat at a table. A spontaneous birthday song. A hug when everything seems lost. Kindness does not erase pain, but it lights the way through it. And in the end, what saves us is not just surviving life's storms, but allowing others to sail the boat with us. Because no one was made to navigate alone. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments which city or country you're watching from. Your participation makes all the difference and helps me continue bringing stories that touch the heart. Life always offers an empty chair. Sometimes, we just need the courage